Okay. Our court is back in session in cause number 330-856, case of South State of Texas versus Devin Lee Castelaw. Now, Mr. Castelaw, I have before me another document that's titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant? There are two boxes that's at the top of this document that's checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case. You have no right of appeal. Do you understand that? The second box states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Sure.
Now, Mr. Castelaw, I have another document here. This document is titled Discovery Certification. You recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, before you sign and initial all of these documents that I just mentioned to you, did your attorney, Mr. Adams, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Mr. Castelaw, are you a citizen of the United States? And state,
Texas.
I have before me State's Exhibit number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment, and also I have before me the probable cause affidavit, which is State's Exhibit number 2. State, you like to offer States 1 and 2?
Yes, Your Honor. They offer state 1 and 2.
Any objections?
No objection.
No objection. States Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Adams, you've advised and counseled Mr. Castelaw. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial? Mr. Castelaw, your attorney, Mr. Adams, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Castelaw, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable state. Do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
Your Honor, in exchange for defendant's plea of no contest in this case, the state is recommending that the court defer retaining guilt at this time, placing the defendant on community supervision for a period of 6 months, Your Honor, requiring the defendant to complete 50 hours of community service, to pay a fine for $500 and to complete a drug education course.
Okay, Mr. Castelaw, the state is offering that you serve 6 months deferred adjudicated probation in this case. During that 6-month probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 plus court costs of $467, which comes to a total of fine and court costs of $967. You'll also be required to reimburse the Jefferson County Crime Lab $100. You'll be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. You will also be required to reimburse Jefferson County the court-appointed attorney's fees of $250. Let me see his affidavit. And your total monthly installments that you'll be required to pay in this case is $325 a month. Will you be able to pay the $320 a month? Okay. You'll also be required to perform 50 hours of community service. You'll be required to attend and complete a drug education class, and you'll be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of this probation. Mr. Castelaw, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Sir.
Mr. Castelaw, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Castelaw, if you successfully complete your probationary period, this case will be dismissed. It would not, it'll be dismissed, and you may qualify for a non-disclosure. You can talk to your attorney about the non-disclosure because he's quite competent in those matters. Mr. Castelaw, you're going to stand on the X next to your attorney, follow the directions of our clerk. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Kyle, was getting ready to call Kyle Franklin, this next case on the plea. Kyle Franklin? Person that's on Samsung SM, please put your mic on mute. Okay. Court is in session and clause number 326702, case of style of state of Texas versus Kyle Martin Franklin. Kyle Martin Franklin's case is on the court pretrial conference docket. Mr. Franklin, is your full name Kyle Martin Franklin?
Yes, Judge.
How you doing, Mr. Franklin?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you for asking.
That's good, Mr. Franklin. You're here represented by your attorney James Macon. Attorney Macon, do you waive a record in Mr. Franklin's case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Franklin, I have before me a document that is titled information. This information alleges that on or about April 30th of 2019, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class B misdemeanor offense of possession of marijuana. Mr. Franklin, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, Judge.
And to this charge, Mr. Franklin, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Franklin, I also have before me a document that is titled misdemeanor plea admonishment. You started acting up. Hold on a minute. I hate me. Okay, Mr. Franklin, I have before me a document that is titled misdemeanor plea admonishments. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
On page 2 of this same document, there's two sets of initials. I think one set of initials is your attorney initials, another set is, I assume is your initials. That's on the line next to the box that says check guilty. Is that your initials on this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on the next document, that's titled trial court certification, the defendant's right of appeal. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, Your Honor.
I have another document here on paper that is titled discovery certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Franklin, before you signed and initialed these documents, did you read the documents?
Briefly, yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And I explained them to them.
Did you understand everything that you read?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you read these documents, you understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir. Mr. Macon.
Okay, and your attorney did go over these documents with you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Franklin, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer State's, you need it, David. You like to offer State's Exhibit number 1?
Yes, Your Honor, state office, state one.
We have no objection.
No objection, State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Macon, you've advised and counseled Mr. Franklin. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Franklin, your attorney, Mr. Macon has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Franklin, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers are freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
Your Honor, thank you for defending the plea of guilty in this case. The state is asking, recommended that the court defer adjudicating guilty in this case at this time, and placing the defendant on community supervision for a period of 6 months. Your Honor, requiring the defendant to complete 20 hours of community service and to pay a $300 fine.
And what about the drug ed? I'm looking at the judgment. Attendant complete drug education.
Yes, Your Honor, and to complete drug education.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I thought that was a normal condition of the.
Yeah, no,
petition.
yeah, it's in the agreement. Okay, now, Mr. Franklin, the state is offering that you serve 6 months deferred adjudicated probation. During the 6-month probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $300 plus court cost of $402. The total fine and court cost is $702. You also be required to pay a $100 reimbursement to the crime lab. You'll be required to pay a $60, no. Oh, okay, that's gonna come out different now. Yeah, hold on, we're gonna have to make an adjustment on that's the $60 a month probation fee that's supposed to be in there. Just hold on a minute, she needs to have to redo the paperwork. Okay. Mr. Franklin, the state is offering that you serve 6 months deferred adjudicated probation. During the 6-month probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $300 plus court cost of $402, which comes to a total of fine and court cost of $702. You'll also be required to reimburse the Jefferson County Crime Lab in the amount of $100. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, and you'll be required to pay a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. Your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you'll be required to pay each month while you're on probation, is $215. Will you be able to pay the $215?
Yes, sir.
You'll also be required to perform 20 hours of community service. You'll be required to attend and complete a drug education class, and you'll be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of this probation. Mr. Franklin, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Franklin, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement. In this case, court will defer finding of guilt and place you on probations with the terms that you have agreed to. Now, Mr. Franklin, if you successfully complete this probationary period, this case will be dismissed, would not result in a conviction on your record, and you may qualify for a non-disclosure. you can talk to your attorney about the non-disclosure because he's quite competent in those matters. Now, Mr. Franklin, you're gonna stand on the X next to your attorney and follow the directions of our clerk. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day. Thank you. Kenta Stevens,
We got this cost on the document today, and they're gonna do a reset over there. What's the procedure over here?
okay, well, she'll come in and then we'll probably reset it on the same day if that's what.
Bring over here right now.
You could bring it, if she's out here, you could bring her, you could bring up, but I'm gonna do this plea right now.
The problem I have is that, Susan hadn't given us a date. She said she's gonna email me.
Yeah, well, that's not a problem. We'll have our court coordinator check the date.
So you want me to bring this?
Yeah, you just have her come in and, just hold on a minute. Okay, let's see, this is, Stevens, Kenta Stevens, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm filling in for Bruce Smith today. He's over across the hall. Just come to his court.
Okay. Oh, something's wrong with this thing. Uh-oh. Here we go. Hey, this thing is starting to acting up. Uh-oh, this thing is acting up.
All dismissed and judges.
Here we go. Stevens, okay. You have a copy of that, you have a copy of the information in this case? Stevens, cause number 317-490. I just need the information. This deal is messing up.
Okay, okay.
Thank you. Court is in session in cause number 317-490. The case is style the state of Texas versus Kenta Earl Stevens. Mr. Stevens, is that your full name?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Stevens, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Stevens, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Stevens? You doing good? Yeah, I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Stevens, I have before me a document that is titled Information. This information alleges that on or about May 6th of 2017, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, operating a motor vehicle in a public place, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated. Second, Mr. Stevens, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, Your Honor.
And to discharge, Mr. Stevens, well, also, Mr. Stevens, this information further alleges that you, Kenta Earl Stevens, on November 28th of 2007, in the County Court of Chambers County, Texas, in cause number 25041, that you were convicted of the misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated, and that conviction became final prior to the commission of this offense. Is that true or not true?
It's true.
Now, Mr. Stevens, are you to this information? How do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Actually guilty.
Oh. Okay. You gotta, do it on. You're gonna use this, it's a, no contest. plea. And then I think he has to, on the next, you're gonna tap it over
Yes.
two times to that second page, and then he has to initial and sign on where it says no contendere. All right, thank you. Now, Mr. Stevens, I have before me a document that is titled, okay, now, Mr. Stevens, you pled no contest to this charge, is that correct? And did you plead no contest freely and voluntarily? And you pled no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges, is that correct? Now, Mr. Stevens, I also have before me, well, before we go any further, Mr. Stevens, your attorney in this case is attorney Bruce Smith, is that correct? What's your full name?
Vernon Mitchell.
Now, attorney Brenna Mitchell is standing in for attorney Bruce Smith. Does Mr. Mitchell have your permission to stand in for Mr. Bruce Smith?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Mitchell, do you waive a record in Mr. Stevens' case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Stevens, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
This is also states exhibit number 1. Now, on page 2 of this document, there's a set of initials, KS, on the line next to a box that check no contendere. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of this same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
Now, on the next document, that's titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on this document? There's one box that's checked at the top of this document. That box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do y'all have a discovery certification? Now, Mr. Stevens, I also have before me a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant? Now, Mr. Stevens, before you signed and initialed all of these documents that I've just mentioned to you, did Mr. Mitchell go over these documents with you?
Yes.
Got it dated. And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Stevens, are you a US citizen?
Yes.
State, I have before me states exhibits 1 and 2. State, you like to offer states 1 and 2?
Yes, Your Honor. State offer state 1 and 2.
No objection, Judge.
No objection, states exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. Oh, you put it wrong. 18, I'll go up there. You just kind of scratch through that. That's the felony number start off with that, the year, not the misdemeanor. Just scratch off, yeah.
Just scratch off the 18.
Yes, it's the cause number is 317490. Okay. Now, Mr. Mitchell, you've advised in counsel, Mr. Stevens, is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Stevens, your attorney of record, Mr. Bruce Smith, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation? Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation? Now, attorney Brenna Mitchell has also advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation? Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Stevens, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given, and I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt state. Do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
Your Honor, in exchange for defendant's plea of no contest in this case, the state is recommending confinement in the Jefferson County Jail for a period of 180 days. The state is asking that the court suspend a position of that defendant, placing defendant on community supervision for a period of 1 year, requiring defendant to pay a $500 fine to complete 80 hours of community service. And we're asking that the standard DWI conditions to include DWI ed course, drug and alcohol assessment, plus an interlock. And the defendant will be surrendering himself to serve a 3-day or 72-hour mandatory sentence on 9/23/22 at 7 a.m.
PM, sweet PM,
At what?
7 o'clock PM,
I think they do 6. I don't think they at 6 p.m.
6 o'clock, we find out. Also, just for,
9:23?
yeah, 9/23, just Friday, Judge.
Okay,
And also,
at 6.
with
Okay.
regards to the interlock, just for the court's information, the defendant does not have a vehicle.
Okay, I mean, he's still required to get an interlock for any vehicle that he own or operate.
Right.
So
Want to make the court aware.
you're right. If he owns a, yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Stevens, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in the Jefferson County Jail, but this 180 days will be probated for 12 months, which is 1 year. During that 12-month probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 plus court costs of $452, which comes to a total of $952. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. You will also be required to pay the Jefferson County DWI education class an initial evaluation fee of $125 on the day of the plea. Should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay an additional $50. Your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you'll be required to pay each month while you're on probation, is $165 a month. Mr. Stevens, will you be able to pay the $165 each month? You'll also be required to perform 80 hours of community service, attend and complete the DWI education class, have a drug and alcohol assessment, and it says attend the DWI intervention. That's normal for DWI seconds. You're required to install a DWI interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate. And you'll be required to serve 72 hours in the Jefferson County Jail, beginning at 6 p.m., well, at or before 6 p.m. on September 23rd of 2022, and you'll be required to adhere to all the other standard terms and conditions of this probation. Mr. Stevens, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Stevens, I'll follow the people are in agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Stevens, you're gonna stand on the X next to your attorney. And let's see, did I say, you're gonna follow the instructions from our clerk. And once you finish following those instructions, you'll be free to go. And just again, at 72 hours, jail time is to begin on September 23rd of 2022, at or before 6 p.m. You can stand on the X and follow the clerk. Did Ms. Costley?
Right here.
Okay,
Just briefly, I've got a Troy Dory come for Bruce between the trial docket, he's still in court.
yeah, just hold on a minute. Let me get this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is cause number 331016, case of style of the state of Texas versus Shakita Chantel Costley. Ms. Costley, how are you doing?
Fine.
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, Ms. Costley. You're here represented by your attorney, Theodore Johns Jr. Mr. Johns, how are you doing?
Pretty good, sir.
And Mr. Johns, Ms. Costley had a felony
Yes, sir.
case set today.
Yes, sir.
And you would like this case to be reset on that date,
Yes,
same
sir.
date?
Yes, sir.
They hadn't, okay. And so that date hadn't been put in the computer yet. And so just stay in contact with your attorney, and your bonds will be given notice of your reset date. And this will conclude our court coordinator will check the dates, and once she gets the date, we're gonna put it on the same day and send it to your attorney and your bondsman. So Ms. Costley, you're free to go, and you have a blessed day. And Mr. Johns, I think this is your only case. You're free to go as well, and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, you are.
Thank you.
Next case is cause number 320439. The case is style of state of Texas versus Troy Joseph Dore. Mr. Dore is appearing via Zoom. Mr. Dore has two cases, cause number 320439 and cause number 329389. Now, Mr. Dore, you can take your mic off of mute. Is he on Zoom? He was on Zoom earlier. Is he, he must not, he's no longer on Zoom. Okay. We're gonna have to get back with him, okay. Now, we also have, Mr. Bailey, could you please go get Charles Bussey? Charles Raymond Bussey Jr.?
Judge John Jaworski on that case.
Yes. Okay, your client is in court, in the hall, he's coming in. Okay, this is cause number 321437-2. The case is style of state of Texas versus Charles Raymond Bussey Jr. Mr. Bussey, is that your full name? How you doing, Mr. Bussey? You all right? Okay, Mr. Bussey, your attorney is Mr. John Jaworski. He's appearing via Zoom. Mr. Jaworski, how are you doing?
Just fine, Judge. I got caught in a major accident over here where there was a death and they shut down I-10, even though I left at 6:30. So I diverted myself to another trial setting in Harris County, and they've cleared it up since then. If you want, I can be there if you want to pick a jury at 1:30.
No, we pick our juries tomorrow at 1:30.
Tomorrow? Okay,
Yeah. So right now, so you're announcing trial, is that correct?
that's correct.
State?
Yes, Your Honor, this is the
State's ready? Okay. So right now, Mr. Bussey, you're set number 2. So you need to, you and your client will be here tomorrow. What? Uh-oh, you number 1 now? Okay.
Plead papers.
Oh, I just was informed that the number 1 is playing, so you number 1, Mr. Jaworski. So y'all need
Sure.
to be back here tomorrow at 1:30 when we pick the
1:30
jury.
tomorrow?
1:30
Okay.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, and you're free to go.
Thank
And
you,
you have Trina, give him a reset for tomorrow at 1:30. Just stand over to get your reset. Once you get your reset, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day.
All right, that'll work out fine, Judge. I appreciate that. And
Okay.
I'll be there at 1 tomorrow.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you. May I be excused?
Yes, you may be excused.
So who's the number 1 case, Judge?
It's Bussey, Charles Bussey, Charles Raymond Bussey.
Is the,
Well, right now, number 2 is Donald Doherty. And we got a number 3. Let's see, we still hadn't heard, okay. Mark Pearson, cause number 327254 on the trial docket. Well, that might change. Pearson, what are we gonna do on Pearson? Mr.
Finish trial, young.
Okay. They're gonna do y'all doing a motion on that? Waiver jury?
Yeah.
Oh, they got, some over here in the stack.
Mr. Freeman, did you prepare it and I'll agree to it? We'll waive our right to a jury trial. We ask that the victims.
Okay. Court is back in session and calls number 327254, case of style of state of Texas versus Mark Anthony. Pearson. We need to. Next case is cause number 331498. Case of style of the state of Texas versus James Lee Robertson, or James Lee Robertson Jr. Mr. Robertson, would you please come forward? Okay, your full name is James Lee Robertson Jr.?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Mr. Robertson?
Great.
That's good. Mr. Robertson, you're here represented by your attorney who is appearing via Zoom, Ms. Lori Perazo. Ms. Perazo, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Perazo, what is your announcement in Mr. Robertson's case?
Judge, I was under the impression that Mr. Robertson had a pending felony, so I'm not sure if that's been
Yeah,
resolved.
he has 2 felonies. Yeah, in drug court. Did you handle those cases? Did they reset your case today?
Yes, sir. I actually got reset for the 14th of November.
Okay, now, okay, just hold on. Miss Peraza, Mr. Robertson's felony cases was reset to the 14th of November. Do you want this misdemeanor case set on the same date?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Robertson, you're gonna stand on the 4X in front of our court coordinator. She's gonna reset your case on the same date of your felony. On that date, you need to go take care of your come here, check in, go take care of your felony, and then come back here like you did today. All right, just go ahead. No, give it to the court coordinator. All right. Hold on a minute, we have hold on a minute. Okay, all right. This is cause number 3278810, case of style of the state of Texas versus Ivory Darrell Milton. Mr. Milton, is that your full name? How you doing, Mr. Milton? That's good. Okay, I see here. Okay, Mr. Milton, you're represented by your attorney, Antoine Freeman. Mr. Freeman, like there's a final reset to pay restitution. That's what's on here.
Yeah, we're gonna pay, I believe, 2,500 today. We're gonna pay the additional 5 before 5 o'clock today. So we're paying the restitution today.
Okay. Well, the state, so he's gonna pay that, that today. I think you have to give it to DA's office. They can tell y'all how you need to pay it and stuff. Okay,
Yes, Your Honor, there's no objection if the restitution gets paid today. That's the deal we have.
now let me ask you this, would that be dispositive of the case?
Yes.
It will, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll just put to be dismissed. Okay, Mr. Milton, you and your attorney, I guess, could talk to the prosecutor and it could tell you how you need to pay that. Okay, just have a seat. I don't know about, they said they're gonna handle it today. That's the day before 5 p.m. So that's the day. Okay. Next case is cause number, are you ready? Cause number 327254, case of style of state of Texas versus Mark Anthony Pearson, Senior. Mr. Pearson, is that your full name, Mark Anthony Pearson Senior? Mr. Pearson, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Pearson, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, Mr. Pearson, you may put your hand down. Mr. Pearson, you're here represented by your attorney, Attorney Antoine Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Freeman, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
That's good. And Mr. Tommy Coleman is here on behalf of the state. Mr. Coleman, how are you doing?
Good, John.
Now, Mr. Pearson, I have before me a document that is titled Agreed Waiver of Jury Trial. Do you recognize this document?
I have a chance to read about it.
Okay, well, I'll give you and your attorney, and here you go, chance to go over this document.
There's a waiver of a jury trial.